Okay, let's talk about a crisis that's happening right now in classrooms everywhere, and it's not a quiet one. It's that constant buzz, that little bing, the notification that just yanks a student's attention right out of the lesson. Yeah, we're talking about the classroom phone crisis. It feels huge, it's costing a ton of money, and honestly, for a lot of people, it seems impossible to solve. But what if it's not? What if there's a totally different way to look at this?
So let's start with a number, just to get a sense of the scale we're dealing with. A full 97% of students use their phones during a school day. I mean, think about that. That isn't a small group of kids. That's basically everyone. Whether it's a quick text or getting sucked into a social media rabbit hole, these devices are a constant feature when kids are supposed to be learning.
In this quote, this just says it all, doesn't it? This comes from a teacher, and it really gets to the human side of the problem. It's not just about kids getting distracted. It's about teachers getting completely burned out. They signed up to teach, not to be the phone police. And every minute they spend fighting that battle is a minute they're not actually teaching. Now, this isn't just about frustration. It has a real jaw-dropping price tag, $137 billion. That's what this crisis is estimated to cost. And that number comes from two places: all that lost learning time and the incredibly high cost of teachers leaving the profession, partly because of the stress of managing these super distracted classrooms. It's a crazy amount of money, and it really shows you something systemic is broken here.
So you're probably thinking, if everybody knows this is a huge problem, why haven't we fixed it yet? Well, as it turns out, the way we've been trying to fix it is frankly full of holes. Let's dig into why the usual solutions just aren't getting the job done.
All right, so you've got two main gadgets people try to use, and both of them are problematic. First, you have these physical pouches you lock phones in. They cause these huge traffic jams of kids at the beginning and end of the day. Students figure out how to bust them open anyway, and this is the big one. They block everything, and that includes 911 calls. Not good. Then you have signal jammers. Well, those are just flat out illegal. The FCC says no. They can block emergency responder radios, which creates this massive liability for a school. So yeah, not a great option.
Okay, you might say, what if we just ban them? Simple. The problem is, a ban without a real way to enforce it just creates what some people call compliance theater. Everyone pretends to follow the rule, but they don't. It puts teachers right back in that phone police role, creating constant conflict. And get this, research shows that just having a phone nearby, even if it's turned off and put away, actually lowers the student's brain power. But the biggest issue? A flat-out ban completely ignores the number one thing parents are worried about. They want to be able to reach their kid in an emergency.
So, the old methods aren't working. They're either unsafe, illegal, or just plain ineffective. And that reality has pushed people to come up with some totally new, purpose-built solutions. So let's check out one of them. It's called FocusGate, to see what a completely different approach looks like.
So what's the big difference here? Well, first off, it's not a pouch or a jammer. It's a legal, software-based app. It uses this tech called Mobile Device Management, or MDM. This is the same stuff big companies use to manage all their employees' work phones. Basically, it lets a school's rules live directly on the phone's operating system, which opens up this whole new world where that phone stops being a liability and maybe, just maybe, becomes a tool. So how does it actually work day to day? It's pretty simple. First, the teacher clicks one button on their computer to start what's called a focus session. Second, almost instantly, every student's phone in that classroom gets locked into a specific profile the school has set up, like a no distractions mode for a lecture. And third, and this is the most important part, safety is built right in. The actual phone dialer for 911 and a list of emergency contacts that parents choose are never blocked. And that really brings us to the core idea of this whole platform. It's all about giving schools real, actual control over the devices in the classroom, but without ever having to compromise on student safety. Not even a little bit. Let's take a closer look at that safety stuff, because it's a huge deal. As we said, 911 is always available, period. Parents get their own portal where they can manage a list of emergency contacts who can always get through. Teachers have a silent emergency button that can ping administrators with their exact location. And if there's a big, school-wide emergency, an admin can hit a global override and instantly give every single phone on campus full functionality back. This whole setup is designed to solve that core parent worry head-on. You see, the goal here is to completely change the conversation. It's not about confiscating phones or punishing students. It's about empowering teachers. It's about giving them back their time, their focus, and their ability to actually teach without that constant disciplinary struggle. And the system gives teachers some really simple but really powerful tools. They can start a session with that one click and see a live list of who's connected.
They can switch profiles on the fly, maybe moving from a super restrictive test mode to a research mode that only allows a few educational websites. They can even give a temporary override to one student if they need to contact a parent. It's all about giving them flexible, real-time control over their own classroom.
But what if we could do more than just solve the distraction problem? See, once you can actually manage the device, a whole new set of possibilities opens up. We can stop asking how to get rid of phones and start asking a much more interesting question about the supercomputers already sitting in every student's pocket.
And this is where it all pivots, right? Once the phone is managed and not a constant distraction, it doesn't have to be just a liability anymore. What if that device could be turned into a real school-approved tool that actually helps a teacher teach?
This is where it gets really, really cool. The platform has an AI teaching assistant built in. But, and this is key, it's designed for learning, not for cheating. It has these built-in guardrails that stop it from just spitting out the answer. Instead, it guides a student, asks them questions, and helps them understand the concepts so they can solve the problem on their own. It's a way to use AI to actually support academic integrity.
So what's the upside to an approach like this? Well, you can see it here. It's designed to boost learning by making students think critically. It upholds academic integrity because it's built to refuse those "just give me the answer" questions. And maybe most importantly, it offers a way to give every student individualized help 24/7, something that's almost impossible to do at scale with human teachers alone.
So, let's pull this all together. At the end of the day, the goal isn't just about managing phones. It's about something much bigger. It's about reclaiming the classroom for teachers, for students, for learning itself.
When you look at a solution like this, you can see how it really tries to be a win for everybody. For school superintendents, it's a legal way to enforce their policies, which can actually help keep good teachers from quitting. For teachers, it means the end of that daily tug-of-war over phones. And for parents, it's all about that peace of mind, knowing their child is always reachable if something goes wrong.
This is a really powerful quote. It comes from a huge national research project that surveyed over 20,000 educators, and the data was crystal clear. Teachers are happier and feel like they're doing a better job when their school has a strict, but more importantly, enforceable cell phone policy. It just confirms that what teachers really want is a solution that actually works.
And that leaves us with a final question. It really seems like the old ways, blocking, banning, confiscating, they've kind of run their course. They create new problems without really solving the original one. But new technology and new data are showing us that there might be a different way forward. So maybe it's time to stop fighting a battle we're losing and start strategically managing the technology that's already in our classrooms.